Now let's talk about a story from way back in the Bible in Genesis chapter 16. It's about a family just like any other, with hopes and fears, and well, they made some big mistakes. The key people are Abram, his wife Sarai, and Sarai's Egyptian maid Hagar. God had promised Abram that he would be the father of many nations, a huge family. But there was a problem, a big one. Sarai couldn't have children. They had been waiting for a very long time, 10 years in fact, since God first made that promise. And let me tell you, waiting on God is one of the hardest things we ever have to do. Sarai was getting tired of waiting. She was frustrated and probably felt like God had forgotten all about her. So she came up with a plan. It was a human plan, not God's plan. She decided to take matters into her own hands. This is something we all do, isn't it? We get impatient, we get tired of waiting for our breakthrough, and we start trying to help God out. Sarai told Abram to have a child with her maid Hagar. In their culture, this was something people did. The child would legally belong to Sarai, but just because it was common doesn't mean it was God's best. Abram listened to his wife. He agreed to the plan. Sometimes we listen to the wrong voices, even the voices of people we love and trust. Abram was supposed to be the spiritual leader of his family, but in this moment, he followed Sarai's fear instead of God's promise. So, in verse 3, Sarai gives Hagar to Abram to be his wife. Abram goes to Hagar and she conceives a child. The moment Hagar knew she was pregnant, her attitude toward her mistress changed. Suddenly, the power dynamic shifted. Pride began to swell up in Hagar's heart, and she started looking down on Sarai. This is what happens when we try to solve our problems our own way. Sarai immediately regrets her decision. In verse 5, she turns on Abram and says, "My wrong be upon you." Abram's response in verse 6 is really quite weak. He basically washes his hands of the whole situation. He tells Sarai, "Indeed, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please." So Sarai deals with Hagar harshly. She mistreats her so badly that Hagar has no choice but to run away. She flees into the wilderness, alone, pregnant, and rejected. Can you imagine how scared and hopeless she must have felt? She was a victim of this whole messy plan. Now, this is where the story takes a beautiful turn. Verse 7 says, "Now the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness." Hagar ran away from her problem, but she couldn't run away from God. God saw her, he knew where she was, he knew her pain, and he pursued her. The angel of the Lord asks her two questions in verse 8. "Hagar, Sarai's maid, where have you come from, and where are you going?" First, notice that he calls her by her name. God knows you personally. The questions are so important. Hagar's answer is simple and honest. "I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress Sarai." And then the angel gives her a very difficult command in verse 9. He tells her, "Return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hand." God was telling her to go back into the very situation that hurt her. Why? After giving her that difficult command, the angel of the Lord gives her a powerful promise. In verse 10 he says, "I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so that they shall not be counted for multitude." God is telling this runaway Egyptian slave girl that he has a plan for her life too. He was giving her hope to hold on to. The angel tells her she will have a son and that she should name him Ishmael, which means God hears. God heard her cries in the wilderness. He then gives a prophecy about who Ishmael will be. "He shall be a wild man, his hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him." This encounter with God changes Hagar forever. In verse 13, she does something amazing. She gives God a new name. She calls him, "You are the God who sees." In her darkest moment, when she felt completely unseen by everyone else, she discovered that she was seen by God. This experience gave Hagar the strength to obey. The Bible tells us in verse 15 that she went back and she bore Abram a son, and Abram named him Ishmael, just as the angel had commanded. She did the hard thing. She returned to Sarai and submitted, but this time she went back with a promise from God. So what can we learn from this ancient story today, on August 5th, 2025? The first lesson is about the danger of impatience. How often do we do that? We pray for a spouse, a job, or a breakthrough, and when it doesn't happen on our timeline, we get frustrated and try to force it. This story teaches us to trust God's timing. His timing is always perfect. We need to learn to wait with patience and faith, knowing that He is working behind the scenes. The second lesson is about God's incredible, far-reaching compassion. This shows us that God's love isn't just for a select few. He cares for the outcast, the lonely, the forgotten, and the hurting. A third powerful lesson is that God can bring purpose out of our messes. He didn't cause the mess, but He worked in it. This is so encouraging. It means that none of our mistakes are too big for God. He can redeem our worst decisions and use them for His glory if we will turn to Him. Finally, the most important lesson is captured in the name Hagar gave to God, the God who sees. Whatever you are facing today, I want you to grab hold of that truth. You are not invisible. Your struggles, your secret tears, your hidden fears, God sees them all. He is not a distant, uncaring God. Just like He found Hagar by that spring of water, He will find you. Trust Him. Call out to Him. He is the God who sees you, and He's waiting to give you a promise and a future. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Also, feel free to share this with your friends or anyone who might find it helpful. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.